Hey, Dark Cloud. Hey, how do I sound with the music? Am I at an okay volume and the music's not too overpowering? Nice. Hello and welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Back today with a green, white, black Maverick list. Just let me just short this up so we have space. Nice. Yeah, the volume should be fine. So first off, a huge congratulations to Achilles27, aka Connery, with a second place finish in the challenge with green, white, black Maverick. Very cool to see. Obviously a player who puts a lot of time into the deck, so pretty awesome to see the results get some even better results, I guess. This is a list pretty close to it, with a few minor tweaks, and mainly just based on personal preferences and how I like to play Maverick. So one instance is that I'm playing a second library, because I like to see it a lot more often. Connery was playing an interesting list with 3 swords and 3 abrupt decay, which I think is nice because abrupt decay is a little bit more it's got a few more hits. You can hit Oko, you can hit things like Back to Basics, Blood Moon, Chalice. Swords I just really like. It's just it's obviously the best removal for creatures in Legacy. And I think that I just really value it a lot more than the 3rd decay, but I could definitely see the reasoning behind 3 decay, 3 swords. Obviously Achilles is a very good Maverick player, so I'm assuming from his testing and his experience, he's found that 3 decay, 3 swords is really good, with a 4th swords in the sideboard. But I just really like having access to the full 4. There are some matches that we go down to where I don't hit the swords to plowshares, and that's with 4 in the deck. So having 3 is really nice. So hopefully this should be okay. Otherwise, the deck is pretty normal. Hexdrinker has been a really solid 1 CMC beater. Scoop Ranger's still okay. Achilles played an Elvish Reclaimer in the deck, which I really like as well. I think that's a pretty cool card to play. But he wasn't playing any sort of extra shenanigans in land. So he wasn't playing BUG Hogaak, wasn't playing Blast Zone, Ghost Quarter, Maze of Ith. Just want it as a 3/4, which is pretty cool. Hey Nathan, a huge thank you. Very cool to see the raid. Hello, people from Nathan's stream. I believe when I was watching you were 3-0 with a blue-black Tez deck, which is pretty sweet. So hopefully that finished off okay with at least a 4-1. I'm gonna back you and say you went 5-0. Nice, you did go 5-0. Very cool to hear, man. That's awesome. Very, very sweet. Other than that, just the board. Leyline, I think right now is probably the best graveyard hate. Thoughtseize is interesting. It's something I'm trying out over Deafening Silence. I think that Thoughtseize is pretty key. The issue is that Thoughtseize is kind of a one-off piece disruption, whereas Deafening Silence can actually have some effect on the game over multiple plays and over multiple turns. And Deafening Silence into 2-drop, like Thalia, or something like Gaddock Teeg or Collector Oof, can be really impactful against the decks where you want it. So I'm not too sure if Thoughtseize is going to be better than Deafening Silence. I think it's got a little more range in the decks that I bring it in against. I'm probably happy to bring in Thoughtseize against some of the Oko decks where Deafening Silence I wouldn't bring it in, so hopefully that's okay. And then Zealous Persecution is an interesting one. Zealous is... I've been finding with a few decks that I have been wanting to impact the board against a variety of creature types. And there are times where Plague Engineer is great against elves, but they also have Dried Arbor and Wirewood Symbiote as insects and dryads. Esper Vial is another one that has a bunch of X1s but are different creature types as well. So Zealous Persecution also really nice as just a combat trick, which Plague Engineer doesn't really allow for. Plague Engineer, fantastic of course, but I kind of want a Zealous at just another piece as well, so we'll see how we go. 2 Path just for extra removal, really good against Rug Delver that of course aren't playing basics, and just in general a pretty great card as well against the Depths variants, because with our main strategy being Beatdown, I don't really want them getting 20 life, so having an out of just giving them a basic instead of getting 20 is pretty nice. And then Vraska and Ramanap for the grinding matchups. I had Ramanap in the main deck, but I think with the amount of basic heavy mana bases around, I don't mind it in the sideboard, because in game 1 it's probably not doing a hell of a lot against those matchups. And then Vraska, pretty sweet. Still a really good answer to Oko, because you get to deal with Oko, then it sticks around. It is incremental card advantage as well, which is nice. It allows you to make use of your endgame Noble Hierarchs and Birds of Paradises. And even you can sacrifice fetch lands if you don't have anything to fetch later on, which is really nice. So that should be pretty interesting. Yeah, Deafening Silence, of course, really good against combo, and I hopefully don't regret not playing them, but I really want to try out Thoughtseize, so we'll see how it slides, and if this league goes quick, we might even try a second. So this should be pretty sweet. I'm going to quickly find a league. Oh, I don't have play points? Actually, we're playing a Legacy League. Okay, cool. Nice. Nice. Nathan, what did you play against on Blue-Black Tez? Because that deck seems sweet. I feel like Tezzeret is one of the most underplayed, powerful Planeswalkers that I just wish saw a little bit more. Hey, Luca Boring, a huge thank you. Very, very nice to get the Twitch Prime sub. Thank you very much. 5 months is pretty cool. Hope you're well. Hope you're doing okay. I know that there's I don't remember all 5, but they were very real decks. 2-0 against Omnitel, very nice. Omni seems pretty interesting. Is your deck running Ensnaring Bridge? I feel like that would be pretty good against Omni. But I assume that have a Cunning Witch package that could get something to deal with Ensnaring Bridge. Tez decks usually run Chalice as well, because you don't run any one drops. Yeah, Chalice and Forces are sweet. Any deck that can play Chalice and hold up Force is pretty sweet. And I think yeah, answers a lot of the metagame pretty well. Omnitel, an interesting one. I built blue-green in paper. I haven't played it yet, but it does seem pretty solid. I watched a bit of Julian when he was streaming it, because it looked really fun. I like green. Carpet is a cool card. And then of course, like Ice Fang's pretty sweet. It's interesting how a lot of the decks only run 1 Grizzlebrand, 1 Emrakul, and then the 4 Omniscience. So a Cunning Wish line is pretty big, but yeah. Nice. I just had dinner, so I'm pretty full, but I am eager to play some Legacy Maverick. Saito San, I think, did pretty well in the challenge as well with a green, white, black variant, which is always cool to see. Hey, a huge thank you for the sub, Nathan. Very, very cool. For those of you who are watching who don't know Nathan Lepetz, definitely check him out. A big Legacy streamer that I believe just also hit 400 followers. I'm going to quickly check that because I know there was a milestone recently. We have our match, which is awesome. 600. Okay, very cool. Nice. I am way behind. Haha. But yeah, it's awesome, man. A very cool achievement and a pretty good feeling as well when you get there. All right, we are on the play against Riku. And this hand is pretty interesting. Obviously quite good against a fair deck because of the double swords and Plague Engineer. The kind of issue here is that I want to use the Green Suns for a Dryad Arbor. If I get a Bayou, I can cast the turn 2 Plague Engineer. If I get a Savannah, I can hold up Swords to Plowshares. The Swords make this pretty reactive. And in the blind, I'm not too sure if that's what I want. I mean, this hand against something like Tess, or even some of the Oko builds just isn't really doing enough. So I think I'm probably happy to mulligan this once because it doesn't really have a plan. Other than hope they're on a creature deck, and hope they're on a non-basic deck. So I'm gonna mulligan this. I want a hand with like a bit of a plan. So it says a turn 1 Arbor Elf, and that's about it. You know, if I go for a Bayou and then I draw into a Knight, I can't even cast it. So pretty happy to mull. This is pretty perfect. I'm gonna keep this, and I think I'm just gonna drop one of the Windswept Heaths. The nice thing about this hand is that I can play another Reliquary on turn 3 as a 4/4 due to the double fetch. So it plays around Bolt. So we'll keep this and bottom a Windswept. But a pretty nice hand because Thalia is great against the unfair decks. Abrupt Decay is fine against the fair decks. Lackey, okay. So this is pretty interesting because I can either hold up Abrupt Decay or I can cast Thalia. I think of Munitions Expert, and that's probably the reason why I'm not gonna play the Thalia here. I'm just gonna decay the Lackey because then we get to untap and play a Knight that's a 4/4, which is pretty sweet. The new versions of Goblins with Muxus are pretty scary, so I don't want to give my opponent the chance to actually win the game by untapping and Munition Experting my Thalia, so I think just fetch and pass is fine. I could also get a Dryad Arbor out of my deck to block, but we'll see if they actually tap out first or not. I think it's doing okay. I know that Anzi played a game with it this morning. Rabblemaster, that's interesting. Okay. So now I have to think, do I want to keep the Abrupt Decay for something else? And am I happy to trade off a Dryad Arbor for this Lackey? So if we fetch for Dryad Arbor here, we lose it, we go down a land. But then we can trade with the Rabblemaster with the Abrupt Decay. I think I'd rather just decay the Lackey here, and then just make sure next turn I'm playing this Knight as a 4/4. So we'll go for Savannah and Bayou. But interesting decision. Just gonna go Wasteland into Knight. Knight, pretty awesome here. But I think we'll definitely see an attack with probably everything, because the Rabblemaster will get pumped up. 3 red. I guess now in hindsight that that opening hand was pretty nice of the double swords and Plague Engineer, but you know, that's just Magic sometimes. Yeah, exactly. I think going down a land is pretty huge there, and not something that I really wanted to do. So if they have Munitions Expert, I lose the Knight anyway because it would deal 4, so there's probably no reason not to block a Goblin here. And then just take 5. Matron. Okay. Probably getting a ringleader just to refuel. Yeah, so the Chrome Muxus make me believe this isn't an Aether Vial version. It's just kind of turbo into Muxus if possible. Which is pretty scary because Wasteland is pretty ineffective here. Thalia doesn't really do a whole lot. So if they are going to do something like Scrap, the sack a goblin, get a 1 mana. Ooh, Gem Palm Incinerator. Interesting. Oh wow, so this is going to deal with the Knight? I guess it puts them down a fair bit. Yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe the play wasn't a block. At least Thalia here pulls the board back a bit. Which isn't too bad. But yeah, I guess if I was thinking about Gem Palm Incinerator, I should have thought about that alongside Munitions Expert and how much damage they could deal to the Knight. Because not blocking there does keep the Knight alive. To be fair, if I don't block, then they can just get Munitions Expert with the Matron, so it doesn't really change anything. Attacking with everything. Interesting. We'll definitely block here. Chalice and 1. Okay. Ooze is pretty nice. Because it's going to be able to stabilize this board a little bit. I only have the 1 green open now, but I think that's okay. I'm not going to attack either. I'm just going to allow this to kind of build out. There's probably some... They have 0 cards in hand. They can't cast Tarfire because of the Chalice. So I think here I'm happy just to pass with the green open. There's probably no point eating it in response to or before their draw step. Ringleader's pretty nice. 5 cards. Ha! Okay, so they hit Instigator, Rabble Master, Matron. Mm-hmm. Let's eat a lackey. Okay, well at least that means I can attack with the Thalia. Because a Wasteland and a Scrubland aren't doing much here, so I might as well just replay a second Thalia. Pretty much giving it Vigilance. And actually giving me some nice food for the Scavenging Ooze. But Matron's really scary. Probably just going for Muxus with 6 mana available. So my best draw is probably Collector Oof. Next to that, it's probably going to be... Plague Engineer, I'm going to say. Okay, so let's eat before anything. Block the 2/2, block the double strike. Knight. Not really good enough here. It's probably best to keep the Scavenging Ooze back, unfortunately. The 3 Thalias are definitely not what I want in this matchup, which is a little bit rough, but you know, we can't do much with the deck that we are. We don't really have control over what we draw into. I can only hope this Muxus doesn't really hit anything. It's the only thing that I can really hope for here. Okay, that's kind of like best. What were the other 6? Chromox City, Cavern. Yeah, wow. Okay. Not really a great attack here either. Yeah, that's step 1. So block 1, block 1, block 1. Taking 4, going to 4. So they could just go wide here as well. I do want to kill the creatures because they do fill up for ooze. But land off the top isn't really where I want to be. I could try to draw into another card here off a canopy. But I think I'm okay with just passing. I'm just seeing if we have lethal. If I attack with everything and they don't block, just to see what would happen. 5, 9, 10, 11. And then I can easily make 5 because I can wasteland myself. That's pretty interesting. So what I could do is attack with everything, see if they block in any way. And then make changes from there. Yeah. I guess that's a free block for the Thalia. But this is actually going to be fine. I am going to wasteland that Ancient Tomb. Because we have Dried Up as a blocker for the Muxus. And then we can gain 2 life. Ah, they have a Ringleader. I think that's literally the card that I had to avoid. Because, yeah, we can go to 6, but we can go up to 6 here. But we're taking the extra 2 that we would have gained anyway. So, unfortunately, it doesn't work out. Yeah, because we can block the Muxus, but then we're taking 6, and we can only gain 2. Rough. I probably didn't need to attack with the Thalia. That's probably the big issue there. Happy for the parts. We can definitely take out Thalias. I don't mind the Collector Oof because of Chromox. Thoughtseize is interesting, especially on the play. If they're mono red, I don't mind going down on a Wasteland and bringing in some number of Thoughtseize. I'm going to take out the second library. I don't think I can be too aggressive with it either. Is Goblins viable as a budget way to start playing Legacy? I think it is. I think Muxus is going to be your biggest hit. Aether Vials are fine because they're kind of format staples in a way. They're played in Modern and Legacy. If you're playing Chromox, that might be a bit of an issue. But I think the mono red version is pretty budget, which is kind of nice. Alright. See how this goes. I'd love to play first. And this hand is a turn 2 Plague Engineer, which I'm a pretty big fan of, so I'm going to keep this. It's going to go Savannah into Green Suns for Dryad Arbor. More than fine. Oh, Chromox. Is it going to be double Lackey? Because that is something I'd be very happy to see. Nice. Okay. So we'll definitely get a Bayou here. I could get a Scrubland, but I kind of like the Bayou because it's an extra green source for Ooze down the line. But this is pretty nice because it kind of leaves him with nothing. Okay, that is going to concede. Now this is interesting. Thoughtseize on the draw is a little less inviting, but it's a case of what do I want? Thoughtseize isn't the worst if they're going to keep a hand where Warren Instigator on turn 2 is the play and they don't have Chromox. But I think that Chalice is a big no. Don't really care about Chalice. Chalice on 1 is probably best, but it turns off, you know, Path, Swords, a lot of our own stuff. Gaddock Teeg does nothing, Leyline does nothing, Ramanap, don't really need the Wasteland Recursion or Sylvan Library. Thalia, no. It's really just taxing us. Vraska is probably a little bit too slow, so I think Thoughtseize is still just the best card to have in the deck post-board, even though it's not one of the best cards to have. So what I really want in the opening hand is one of these 6. And this is a pretty perfect hand. I'm going to keep this. There's a Muxus. Okay. Is this the no-lander? Okay. I'm just going to go for Windswept Heath Pass. I'm just going to go for Scrubland. And nothing. Wow, okay. Scoos is pretty good here, and then I can go for probably Chromox. We can go for Collector Oof. Especially if they miss another land drop. Wasteland there is actually probably the better play. Wasteland is really nice. I'm definitely casting... Maybe I'm not casting Wasteland. Maybe I'm not playing Wasteland. So if I path the Lackey, then Wasteland really doesn't do anything. One drop. We do have Hex Drinker. I probably want to keep my opponent off 3 mana next turn, so I'm going to Wasteland them for sure. And then I am going to use 1 Green Suns for a Dryad Arbor. Just to build up my mana, and then also hold up Path. And at least Path, the basic comes in tapped. And I mean, if they don't have an answer for the Scoos, then we're looking pretty good anyway. This means that next turn we can play Green Suns for... Wow, okay. They do have Pyrokinesis. Can't do anything here. So that's going to be fine. But... can path this. Hey Nuka, I'm glad. I hope you're having a nice lunch. Let me know what you're having. As weird as that sounds. I think Oof here is just better than the Knight. Especially seeing they've already used a Pyrokinesis. I'd love to take them off this this Chrome Mox. I'm not scared of a haste creature anyway, so I don't think playing the Knight as a big creature is in any way relevant here. Ancient Tomb's pretty good, but nothing. Oh, Thoughtseize. Okay. That's pretty sweet. Muxus, Chainwhirler, Warchief. Okay. I don't care about the Muxus because they don't really have any mana here. It's probably the Warchief. The Chainwhirler doesn't do anything here. So it's the Warchief because it makes things cost less and it has haste. This Knight is also Wasteland next turn for the Ancient Tomb, so I'm pretty happy. Skyru. I'm not sure what that is. What is that? It sounds interesting. Rabble Master, that's fine. Can definitely block this. No point taking the damage. Canopy, okay. Once, okay, interesting. Another Knight is pretty good because we have Cradle, so I can actually play the Knight as well. Nice. It's Icelandic Dairy. Ah, very nice. Hey Timmy C, welcome. Hope you're well. This is where Cradle's really nice, but I do have to fade. We know about 2 cards in the hand being Goblins, yeah, Muxus and Chainwhirler, which isn't too bad. Yeah, and we get there, which is really nice because in game 1, that attack was pretty poor. I apologize, but nice to get because I find the turbo version of Goblins is quite hard for Maverick to deal with unless you have a really good opening hand of removal and removal. You need sort of 2 pieces. You need one for the lackey and then you need one for the go wide strategy, because if you allow them to go wide, Maverick just can't keep up. Like if you have a 9/9 Knight, it doesn't matter if they have like 6 1/1s. They're going to attack with them, they're going to block with them. It just buys so much time. So having Plague Engineer in the deck is a really key piece of interaction for this matchup, especially. So that's always a nice way to start, because I always feel like I'm on the back ropes a little bit with Maverick against Goblins, but in this matchup they didn't have Skirk Prospector, which is probably one of their better cards, because you can turbo at that Muxus if your lackeys and Warrant Instigators can't get through. So pretty happy to take down Goblins there. Nuka, what's the Icelandic weather like at the moment? It's definitely on the list as a place I want to visit. Hey Donut, welcome. Yeah, always nice to start with a win. Okay, on the play again, which is nice, up against Kiwi Shingo. And this hand is interesting. We don't currently have white mana, but the once I kind of want to find a turn 1 mana dork, which I guess is a white mana too. So if we once and find a noble or a bird, I'm very happy. But then if the noble or the bird don't survive, it's going to be a little bit iffy if we don't draw into another land. I think I'm okay to keep this. We have removal in Swords, interaction in Wasteland, 2 great threats, and also utility through Night. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to see how it goes. If I had a big Legacy tournament this weekend, what would I run? I've been playing a few different decks in paper. I've been having success with Turbo Depths, which I really like enjoying. But I think Maverick's pretty solid. I mean, Achilles came second this weekend in the Legacy Challenge, which is pretty sweet. I think I'd try to play some amount of Green White Black Maverick, but I definitely have a good answer for snow decks. Come on, Noble. Noble a bird. Noble a bird. Collector Oof. Oof. No white mana either. We'll take it. Are you from the Netherlands? Okay, cool. That's fair. 9 degrees, okay. Marsh Flats, interesting. Okay. Well, now I really want White Sauce because Hedron Crab is going to get out of hand really fast. So I'm just going to go for a Savannah here. And Swords Hedron right now. What is a good answer for snow decks? I don't think there's a good answer for Maverick, but I think there's a good role that you can play, and that's by diversifying your threats. So playing things like main deck Planeswalkers is really good. That's probably the big one. Oh, they have a Hogaak in hand? Rough. Turn 2 Hogaak's going to be pretty interesting. We do have the Knight available for Caracas, which I feel like we just have to cast now. As a 3/3. Off the Bayou. But yeah, Snow is a very tough matchup because Maverick traditionally is a great deck to grind with, but when Snow grinds, it grinds a lot harder than you do. A lot of its cards replace themselves, a lot of our cards don't. A lot of their cards line up really well with us, so Ice Vanquaddle is a great card because it can deal with something like a Knight, but it can also you know, draws them a card, which is perfect. It's exactly what they want. I didn't want to block the Stitches Supply there because of what it does when it dies. I kind of want to Kyre it if possible, because exiling it is just much more superior. They have 1 card left. Please don't be Altar. Altar would be very good. Oh my gosh. Oh no. Oh, they're passing. Now that's very interesting. I still think we lead with Oof. Play a land. Cast Oof, see if they do anything. They probably should, let's be honest. Wow, they do nothing. Okay. So now the question is it greedy to use the Knight to get the 3rd mana for Kaya to exile this Stitcher Supplier? And then take the attack from Hogaak? Probably signaling removal? Yeah. They do have 0 cards in hand though. They do run Trophy and Decay, but I think that's more in the board. I think they're just all out kind of combo in game 1. I guess Bloodghast off the top would be really bad because it would have haste. I could also get Questing Beast, which is interesting. I just feel like this 2 mana is a little bit of a waste if I do nothing here. I could even get the Questing Beast online if I wanted to because of Cradle. I'm just going to pass back. I'm just going to pass back. Interesting that they didn't go for it. I feel like it's a little bit safer if I just pass here. Even though I'm not making the most of my mana, I think that's okay. One draw. Please play a land. That's what I really want. They're going to cast a Gravecrawler, that's fine. Alright, so here I'm pretty happy just to... go and get Karakas and Karakas the Hogaak. And they're just going to concede, okay. So that's pretty lucky because turn 2 Hogaak is pretty scary. We did have Knight to go and find Karakas, which is nice because it's kind of like our 5th removal spell. But interesting one. Thalia's out, Leyline in. This is a matchup where I really like Zealous Persecution, and I do like the extra parts. I don't mind the Collector Oof because of Altar. I do like Knight because of Altar. It might just be the Dirtily cards like once that I'm pretty happy to drop because I think this is a deck where I want to keep a hand with either Leyline or removal, so I'm not really looking for a specific land or creature. So I think the onces can come out just to, you know, we lose a little bit of consistency, but I think because we're keeping hands with Leyline that I'm kind of opening myself up to maybe keeping a hand that's a little weak on the plan side, but I think one of the tricks with Leyline is always making sure you're keeping a hand that also has a turn, you know, 1 to 3 play, because you don't want to keep a Leyline hand and then play like Wasteland Pass, Plains Pass, and have like 2 like Knights or something in hand. But this looks pretty good. Ramanap's interesting, but I don't think that's where I want to be in this matchup. I think if I'm at the stage where I'm getting a Wasteland lock online, then I'm going to be winning anyway. Vrask is interesting as well because it's another way to deal with a Altar. But at the same time, if I'm playing a Vraska, am I really already not losing that game because they have an Altar in play? And I mean, Leyline also does a lot of work against the Altar line because it exiles the graveyard. I think this is fine to take into a game 2. And if we do go down, we can come back and reassess how we want to sideboard. But I think this is fine. I think the rationale is there. Maybe a Hex Drinker. Hex Drink is a very interesting card. So this is where you have some pretty interesting decisions, because this hand is a pretty great hand. It doesn't have access to black, but it does have acceleration. It has interaction in Path to Exile and Abrupt Decay. Plague Engineer is pretty good on Zombie, I believe. But if we're accepting this hand, we are also accepting that Leyline off the top as a 4-of is just a dead draw. Other than down the line if we can cast it. No black mana, so we're kind of keeping a 5 of like this. And we're keeping a 5 where we haven't even, you know, run the roulette of going into going for a Leyline. Yeah, I think I would mulligan this as well, especially just because of how good Leyline is. And because this is game 2, my opponent doesn't know what graveyard hay we're on. This is a no-lander, so we can't keep this. But I could Green Suns for birds, but that's turn 2. So we get one more look. And this is perfect. I mean, it doesn't get much better than this. We have Leyline, we have a White Sword with the swords. We have a Green Suns if we want to build out our mana. So I'm going to keep this. Because of the Leyline, I'm going to bottom the Kaya. And because of the Green Suns, I'm going to bottom the Knight. Because if we really get to a stage where we draw the 3rd land, we can actually just, you know, Green Suns for Knight on turn 4. So I think this is a fine hand. They mull to 6. Hey Nuka, a huge thank you for the Prime sub. Yeah, and there's the leyline plan. Oh my god. Sometimes it's too easy with leyline. A huge thank you. I hope you're enjoying your lunch. I'll have to look it up because Skyra is a very interesting. Ah, interesting. We sell it at our local Woolworths. Is this what you were eating? The Icelandic style? Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. Nice. Sometimes leyline just gets there. But at least a 2-0, which is nice. That's always pretty cool. So the one reason that I didn't want to bottom the swords is that if they have an answer to leyline, then we do need a bit of a backup plan. And how we can lose with the leyline hand is they just go 1-drop, 2-drop, 2-drop, and just start attacking. And so I do need some sort of way to stabilize any amount of pressure that they put on the board. So I do like keeping the swords because it's something that we can't find either, unlike Knight with Green Suns. And also just in case they, play a turn 1 Gravecrawler into turn 2 Gravecrawler or something. It's it can be pretty hard to deal with when they have an actual clock online. But nice start. Hope you guys are well. Thanks for coming in and tuning in. It's always nice to play Legacy in front of friends, of course. Interesting to see these new Belcher lists pop up in Modern as well, which looks pretty nice. Green Suns for Arbor, then turn 2 Knight is a roadblock. If they remove Leyline, you can... Oh, we don't run BUG, unfortunately. But yeah, Green Suns for Arbor into turn 2 Knight is also a really nice line, so that's something I definitely could have considered as well. Because it builds out our mana, and it gets us a pretty big creature, which is nice. Alright, Basuda. On the draw, but this hand is pretty nice. It does rely on the Birds of Paradise as our white source. But I think that's okay. We have really, we have 2 draw steps to draw into like a fetch land, so this hand is pretty cool. I only wish that they put this Birds of Paradise online with a black border. It's actually a pretty well stacked hand. On the draw means we are open to a little bit of shenanigans against combo, but in the blind this is pretty nice. Collector Oof could be a dead card, but that's something you have to accept playing a deck like Maverick, where you do have a bunch of silver bullets that might just be not really have an impact on the game if you get it in your opening hand. Basuta. I'm pretty sure that's Figure of Destiny as their cover image. I can't tell though. It might just be another Kithkin. It is Figure of Destiny. There we go. Okay. Bada bing bada boom. Haha. My opponent is taking some amount of time here, so I hope they just don't have like some sort of turn 0 kill where they're like, okay, if we go into the tank and we think about what we have here, we can win on turn 1. Mountain, okay. Simian Spirit Guide. Legion War Boss, okay. That's actually not too bad. Double Simian Spirit Guide. Bayou, alright. Here it is just going to be Birds of Paradise. At least it's also our answer to Blood Moon. Chalice for 1. Okay, well there goes our plan to swords. But at least here we have Thalia to block with. Wasteland isn't great. I think it's just Thalia with first strike. Yeah. I could also Green Suns for Scrib Ranger, but I don't think that does enough here. I probably want to hide the Wasteland as well, in case they like draw an Ancient Tomb. If we play the Wasteland, they might just keep it in hand until they can use it. So I'm going to go with Bayou here, and then just play Thalia. I think first strike here is really nice. Also, they're on 2 mana, so this might put them off a few amount of turns. But at least we can do something like next turn collect Oof, and then the following turn Green Suns for Night of Autumn. Interesting. That's an interesting attack. There's the Ancient Tomb, so that's the reason why we kept the Wasteland. And Pier and Kiranala, wow, okay. That's going to be pretty good. Plague Engineering one time? Green Suns. So I could Green Suns for 2. But I think here we just want to go Collector Oof and Wasteland. Quickly look at our deck. Yeah. I feel like we have to Wasteland here. So I don't mind Oof. Take you off Ancient Tomb. It's mainly because of Pier and Kira that I want to allow my Thalia to live as long as possible. And if they have the Ancient Tomb, they of course can deal with it. So it makes them have to rip a land off the top to use Pier and Kira. But the Chalice on 1 really hit us bad. Nice. Okay, that's a good start. Interesting. Windswept. Doesn't do a whole lot. I do want to preserve my life total for now, so I probably won't use the fetch. Hey Jerry, welcome. Hope you're well. Hope you have a coffee in hand. This is an interesting one. So I can build out my mana if I want. I can't. I can only Green Suns for 2, which isn't super powerful right now. Scrib Ranger is interesting because I can untap. I kind of want to go for Hex Drinker. Could also just go for Ooze. Maybe I will. Maybe we'll go for a Savannah here. Then we'll Green Suns for Scavenging Ooze. and then pass. This Pier and Kieran's pretty scary. Yeah, the rope is pretty annoying, but at the same time it is annoying. Like, I'm assuming, you know, my opponent could be like, why is this guy taking so long, or why is this person taking so long? But hopefully I play you know, I don't take too much time. Interesting to see them not use the PNC before blocks. I would nearly just be using it on the Thalia by stacking a Thopter and then attacking with everything. So if they allow us to block, I might as well double block the Goblin in case they try to just like kill something that blocks it. Interesting. Alright, well I'm gonna block like this and block like this. I guess I might as well put all three in front of it. There's no reason not to triple block. Wow, letting us untap. Oh, Kaya. Kaya also deals with the Chalice, which is interesting. Kaya's pretty nice. But the thing is, Kaya, if I tick down on Chalice, then they have a pretty easy, you know, artifact to sack for the Pier and Kira. So maybe I don't want to use the Kaya just yet. Maybe I do want to use the Green Suns for Night, but then at the same time, it's not really doing a whole lot because of the P and K. I could also Pia tick up. Pia tick up is actually pretty interesting, but I don't gain any life. I think we just take out the Chalice and see what they do. And to do that, I'm going to use the Kaya. Feels like a Dark Confidant would fit with X-Drinker. I have seen some Jund lists that have been running around, which look pretty cool. So at least if they kill Thalia here, then I can Swords the P and Kira. So we'll see what they hit with this P and K. Oh, well, they're gonna kill that. Okay. That's fine. So the Thalia is currently locking me out from casting the Swords to Plowshares. So if we see an activation of Pier and Kieran here to sack an artifact and deal 2 to Thalia, we can actually use the Swords, which is really nice. But they would have to sack one of their Thopters currently. Have I seen Maloma Boy's 4-color Loam list? I've seen some of Connor's lists, and I really like them. They're really cool. I think they look really fun to play as well, like some of his 4-color lists with Leovold. I haven't seen any like recent lists. I know that Matt Vuk was playing around with the new 4-mana enchantment that whenever you a land enters play, you get a 2/2 cat, or you get +1/+1 counters on your creatures and vigilance till end of turn, which is very cool. I think that card has a weird place in Legacy in some of these grindier decks, maybe even like green-white Maverick that doesn't have a great sort of second strategy. But yeah, Connor's obviously a very good player, especially with Loam. Flying Whales you'll obviously see a few times at the top of the trophy leaderboard, which is cool. So yeah, a player that I definitely respect a lot. And I don't think there's been a list that I haven't wanted to play that he's come out with, which is cool. I'll hopefully play some 4-color Loam on this a little bit more, and maybe even get Connor on as a dual stream, which would be very fun. Alright, opponent with 2 cards in hand. Having a good think about how they want to play this out. Been playing 4-color gifts in Modern, and I've been playing around with having 4 Knights and 2 Loams. Interesting. There's I'm assuming there's some pretty cool Loam or gift piles with Loam because of like Cycle Lands and maybe like Dark Blast or something. Very cool. I'm good, thanks, Ernby. Hope you're well. How's your week going? Yeah, that's fair enough. Streaming does sometimes take it out of you especially as a Legacy player, where there's obviously a fair amount of thinking. That's nothing against other formats, but in Legacy there's a lot of minor choices that can really snowball if you don't make the correct one. Which, you know, that's probably the same merit to other formats, but I think in Legacy it really shines where you make a mistake on turn 2, and because of it you lose on turn 12. But yeah, Connor's a great guy. Which, yeah, hopefully I'll work something out with him in the near future. Gifts for Loam, Pulse Marasa, Uro, and Knight. Pulse Marasa, my favorite green card probably my favorite green card in Modern. I think it's got to be Sylvan Library and Legacy, but yeah, that's cool. That sounds very cool. All right. Oh, here we go. Again with this just one block. Really interesting. Block, block, block. I do need to find answers to these Thopters though. That's a big one. Maybe like a Plague Engineer at some point. Another Thalia is interesting. Hey Echo, welcome. Hope you're well. Alright, now we get to play the second Thalia. And then we get to Swords and Screws. So we'll see if they do anything here with the Pier and K. And if not, we'll Swords in an upkeep. I'm probably pretty happy even if they want to tap out here to kill the Thalia. Because then it's another life that I can gain, which is pretty nice. And then we can also untap and go for Questing Beast. Pia Kenobi. Classic. I actually have a pretty cool stream coming up Actually, not a stream, a recorded video with it's Julian, Caleb, and Pleasant Kenobi playing EDH on Friday night. So I'll be playing a Anafenza Maverick kind of EDH build, which looks pretty fun, which would be really cool. I've done a little bit of work with Vince in the past and good mates with Julian, but I've never met Caleb, which would be really cool. So they let it slide. Didn't expect that. This has been really interesting. I mean, a turn 1 Legion War Boss, and now it's turn 7. And we've been able to stabilize somewhat, but these flying Thopters are what I'm really scared of. I have tried competitive EDH. I used to play Thalia of the Vast, but wasn't that liked, unfortunately. I'm also just gonna eat here. Thalia. Just to go up to 7. 4 is always a scary one against this deck. Alright. Ooh, Kaya. Okay. Kaya's pretty sweet because it takes care of a Thopter. Opponent up to 4 cards. But yeah, competitive EDH seems pretty cool. I feel like the decks that I would like Gaddock Teeg or Anafenza, would kind of be more on the lock people outside than try to win as fast as possible. So I'm not too sure how well that would fare in a competitive setting. I think it would be okay because I think a lot of people wouldn't really care about what I'm doing, which is kind of nice. I think we'll see everything attack Kaya here. Or maybe not. Just to try to get off the board, but it looks like that's not going to happen. Opponent thinking about how they want to attack here. Wow, no, surely they attack. Yeah, okay. This is probably a situation where I would love to have Gilded Goose over Birds of Paradise, but it's a very minor situation where having an X2 creature is just better. And I'm, even the food is pretty relevant if I'm going to be dropping down on life total. But again, with Collector Oof out, the food wouldn't be doing much. But yeah, interesting to see the decks with Gilded Goose, because a lot of the time, a Mana Dork in Maverick, you want it turn 1. You want it online turn 2, you want it online turn 3, turn 4. You always want to be using its mana. So there have been times where I played Gilded Goose and I got it, activated, but then I was like, okay, now I'm going to make a food, untap it. Now I can make a mana. Okay, now I'm going to make a food. And I never had the mana accessible to make that food while I was wanting the mana as well. So that's why I wasn't the biggest fan of Gilded Goose, because the deck is so demanding. So hey Victor, welcome. Hope you're well. I feel like if I say it, it's not going to happen. So luckily we're 2-0. And this is game 1 against what looks to be mono red Stompy. But yeah, it would be nice. We'll take it game by game and see how it's going. How are you going? How's things on your side of the world? Yeah, I think Gilded Goose in Maverick is probably best, if anywhere, in Bant Maverick with Oko. But again, I think there will be times where you want to untap after playing your Oko on turn 2 and maybe like Green Suns for 3 or something. But of course you can't because of the Goose. Goose actually also not the worst against Goblins, because it is a turn 1 blocker for Lackey that they have to have a removal spell for, or else it just blocks it. It just does, you know, Goblin Lackey does nothing, which is kind of cool. But I probably wouldn't want to rely on it as a turn 1 interactive, you know, a turn 1 play against a Lackey on the draw. Opponent having a really good think about this this attack, which you know, all credit to them. We took some time off this match, so you know, it's better to be safe than sorry. You might as well think about all the lines. But it is pretty poor, because if they try to attack with everything into Kaya, they do get to trade with it, because I'm not blocking with the bird. But it would mean that like an Oof would trade with the 1/1, the Skoos would trade with the Legion Warboss. Yeah, they're just going to concede this. Wow. So this is an interesting one. There's not too much out of the board that I really want. I don't mind the Vraska because it deals with a lot of their early plays. I like the Once because if they start on a Blood Moon, it allows us to dig for a basic. I don't mind Kaya because it just unlocks so many things and does deal with things like tokens, but maybe 2 isn't where I want to be. Maybe this is where I'm happy to board. I actually don't mind the Gaddock Teeg either because of things like Chandra's, a Khan package, maybe Fiery Confluence. I think Gaddock Teeg is really nice. It could even be one of my jewel lands. It might be the Savannah. Hey Peter Simon, hope you're well. Thank you very much. Top of the day to you as well. Currently up a game against MonoR Prison, and just having a little evaluation about how we want to sideboard. It's interesting. I probably wouldn't mind the extra paths, but I want to see more of their deck before I make any choices. I still like Thalia. I think we just go ahead with this and see how it goes. Yeah, thinking of Oof, maybe Oof is what I want to cut for the Gaddock Teeg. So maybe a path is just better, because there's probably even a weird scenario where pathing my own creature is correct, because then I can get a basic. I'm going to see how this goes, and then if we have a game 3, we have a game 3. Thoughtseize is okay. I think it's better on the play than on the draw, because I think my opponent would be trying to keep a hand with Chalice. This hand is okay. I just hope that we can fade Blood Moon, because turn 1 Blood Moon against this deck is very good. We do have access to, I think, 3 basics, but I think this hand is good enough not to mulligan, so I'm going to keep this. Ancient Tomb's pretty good. Chrome Mux, okay. I kind of hope it's Trinisphere. As weird as that sounds. If it's Trinisphere, we can once in response and then Wasteland them in their turn. What's it gonna be? Khan. Wow. Turn 1 Khan. That's pretty good. I think they get liquid metal coating here. Great Furnace? Interesting, they get a land drop. Huh. Well, I'm definitely Wastelanding here. Even if I draw a 1-drop here, I'm pretty happy to go for Wasteland. They've got a Great Furnace, meaning that they probably want to start really casting their spells. And I think taking them off 2 mana is just too much of an obligation right now that I don't really see another turn 1 play. Even like Dryad Arbor isn't that great. Oh, they have a city? Magus. That's pretty good. turn 1 Khan, turn 2 Magus. And unfortunately, we just don't have like a way to deal with that. And now they go and get liquid metal coating. So it's pretty much a lock. Caracas. Alright. Let's start with once. There's a plains. Doesn't do a whole lot, but we'll take it. And then I'm just going to play a... Is liquid metal coating 2? Yeah. So I literally don't think we have a way out of this game, because what they do is play liquid metal coating, they target our land, and then they tick up on it, and you know we have to concede. We can like try to draw into a sword to plowshares, like play the plains and swords, but I think I'd rather just spend all the time on game 3. So Thoughtseize on the play seems pretty good. I don't mind taking out the libraries. I might take out one library. I think just one is okay. Knight, I think Skoos can actually come out as well. It doesn't really do a whole lot in this matchup. Hexdrink is probably fine. It might just be one Thalia. I still think Thalia is good, but I don't want to have hands where I have multiples of her. I could see the other path coming in, and because of the Khan package, I could see Collector Oof, but I think this is okay. No once. I do like the onces. I think this 60 is fine. Script range is a little bit meh, but the flyer could come up, especially against the Khan. I'd love to play first. Again, an interesting hand, but just a little bit awkward, because if we go for like, say, Savannah into Green Suns for Dried Arbor, turn 2 we have a Knight of Autumn, which is fantastic, or we have a Sylvan Library with a Swords to Plowshares, but we just die to Blood Moon, because we can't cast the Knight. So I think I'm going to mulligan this. This isn't great either. But it gives us some amount of play. The question is always going to be, is there a better 5? I think if there is a better 5, it starts with a Mana Dork. You need Mox Diamond. Yeah, I'm going to go to 5. I really want that Mana Dork acceleration. And this is pretty close. I think we'll keep this because it has Thoughtseize, which is nice. So I'm going to drop the Gaddock Teeg. And a once. I'm definitely dropping one once. I'm keeping Thoughtseize, I'm keeping Green Suns, I'm keeping once because it's free. So I think it's going to be Teeg because I can get it with Green Suns if I really need it. And the Kai is not the worst against Chalice. But turn 2 Teeg is nice. Alright. Alright. So Thoughtseize will once first. Okay. Huh. Okay, so they're definitely getting a Ravager. Interesting. I don't really care about the Spirit Guides. Oh, they can cast it if they want. That's pretty funny. I did not even think of that. They can exile their 2 Simian Spirit Guides if they want, and they do, yeah. Ouch. I just didn't even think of that interaction. That is punt number 1. Yeah, I can even see in chat, not Ravager. Okay. I'm just going to go for a Plains here. And play Teeg. Which does shut off the Green Suns, but I feel like that's okay. I'm more scared of a 2 mana, a turn 2 4 mana Walker. Alright. No attacks here. I don't think you have. I don't think I've played against this card yet in paper. Which is kind of nice. Okay, that's pretty nice, because that is... mana number 3. But if they have like a Rabble Master or a Legion, it's going to be pretty rough to deal with. Yeah. Yeah, Ravager's really good here. And obviously the turn 1 play of taking it was not the greatest play. Kind of have to block. Yeah, I think using the Green Suns was a lot better. Especially seeing that my hand didn't really have any other plan other than just Green Suns and Teeg. I was just really scared of a turn 2 4 mana Walker. Rough. I'm just gonna go to the bathroom. I'll be back in a second. Rough. Never feels great to obviously make a mistake. And again, there's a great example of how one misplay can lead to a snowball and just go against you. But pretty cool card. I haven't seen too much of Ravager, but it seems sweet for Prison, where each turn you just get to have a look at another 3 and hopefully have some amount of mana and big threat, which is pretty cool. All right, here we go. Come on, Dougal, you got this. Come on now, that's never fun. But yeah, Mono Red Prison is usually a pretty interesting matchup. The starts for Maverick with a mana accelerant are obviously really nice, not just because you're accelerating your mana, but also because then it gives you colors that you might not have if your opponent starts with a Moon or a Magus. Chalice is always playing an interesting role because a lot of your removal is 1 CMC, so if your opponent goes Chalice into something like a Goblin Ringleader or Rebel Master, it can be pretty hard to deal with because you have to assemble a plan to deal with the Chalice and then a way to deal with the Goblins if you don't have a, you know, turn 2 4/4 Knight or something similar. So that's always pretty cool. Vagabond. Pretty happy to mulligan this. A little bit land heavy. The Sylvan Library is nice, but I do want to have a bit more action, and this is it. So I'll keep this and I'll bottom the second Thalia. Oh. Did my opponent just skip their first turn? Interesting move. What just happened there? Because I bottomed a Thalia. Did I just draw a Thalia? Did that? They skipped their draw step, and then I played my turn 1. Interesting. Not sure what happened there. Unless they're on like Manaless Dredge and they want to draw an extra card, but then they would just choose to go on the draw. That was very interesting. Scolding Tarn. I'm just going to crack this in response. I'm just going to get a Scrubland. Yeah, okay, so the Scalding Tarn gives away any sort of dredge. Preordain, okay. So my first initial thoughts is just Sneak and Show, but it could be something very different. The Thalia in hand feels really nice here, and I'm pretty happy just to try to slam a Thalia. Okay. I could go with Library here, but I kind of like Collector Oof. Just in case this is combo, I think I lose this if they have like... Preordain is the only card we've seen. Snow-Covered Island doesn't really give anything away. If it is combo, there is some thought to playing the Sylvan Library to try to find, or just to dig for like an extra land to start pressuring with the Questing Beast as well, but I think I'm okay here just going with Collector Oof. There's also thought that I shouldn't keep up the Wasteland, I should hold up Swords to Plowshares. In case my opponent deals with the Thalia and then like goes off and tries to like Tendrils me for, you know, 20, then I can Swords my own Collector Oof to kind of win. Or at least stay in the game, but... maybe it is better than... maybe it is better to, yeah, tap the Wasteland here than the Scrubland. No end-step shenanigans, which is always nice. I think an Ancient Tomb or a City of Traders would really give away that they're on some sort of show and tell deck. Another Preordain, okay. I mean, if we draw a land, we play Questing Beast, we would put them to 8. We then have a, you know, a 2-turn clock, which is really nice. So I guess land is probably just my best draw here. Oh, they have a trop. Oh, they played it as well. Please don't draw a land. Okay, so I do. So now I have the chance to Wasteland them, but it takes me off my turn. But I think that's okay. So I'm going to Wasteland, and then we can still play Sylvan Library here. They're going to tap it for green. Okay. Interesting that they played the trop, knowing that we had Wasteland. It does put us behind a little bit on our clock, but it must mean that they have another creature. Another land, sorry. They're just going to concede. So I'm going to put them on show and tell. At least blue-green Omni. So I think the engineers can go. I think the Kais can go. I do like Gaddock, Thoughtseize, Chalice. I don't mind taking out some amount of Swords to Plowshares. If not all. Decay could also be a card that I take out here, but...
a result from search.
I think this is a matchup where I just don't have enough cards to bring in. We just won the match, or the first game, against what looks to be blue-green Omnitel. We only saw 2 Preordains, some fetches, snow-covered lands, and a Tundra. We haven't been oopsed or spells yet, Jack, unfortunately. I think this is fine. If they're playing Petal, then Abrupt Decay is okay. I don't think there's a better card to bring in against blue-green. This hand is really nice. Turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 Thalia. And also Knight for Wasteland. For Caracas, sorry. They usually play Veil, so it'd be interesting to see if they kept Veil in. Yeah, the new Oops looks very interesting. My opponent's gone down to 4 cards. I think I'm okay to Thoughtseize here. I could Green Suns for Dried Arbor, and then turn 2 we could Thoughtseize and play Thalia. But I feel like I just wanna stay on curve. And if they have Veil, they have Veil. They don't. Wow. Okay. So I'm pretty happy to take the show and tell here. Because this is an interesting one. The library we can answer with the Green Suns, but it's going to be a while before we get there. They get 2 looks. They get 3 looks at the library before we can deal with it. Currently 2-1. We went down to our mono red Stompy. There's a world where I take the Sylvan library because it just does so much for this. They've already gone down to 4. This is a really interesting one that I'm actually going to snip. I think it's... We also have live draws of Abrupt Decay for the library. Yeah, I feel like Show and Tell is the correct decision. Well, I'm going to say that Show and Tell is the more appealing decision, but taking the Sylvan Library is pretty nice. Blue-green doesn't tend to play Soul Lands or Petals, so I'm not too scared of them casting Show and Tell next turn. So I think I'm just going to take the library, and then hope this Thalia gets us there, and then we also have Green Suns, but maybe a little bit risky. There's a forest. That's fine. Once. We've already cast the Thoughtseize. Yeah, the issue that I had was with taking the Show and Tell is that if we don't take the Sylvan Library, they get 3 looks, and we don't have a great clock, so they probably get to rebuild in that instance anyway. But it's always hard to say. Green Suns. Yeah, it's definitely more scary for them to have the Show and Tell, that's for sure. So 3 cards, and we know about at least 2 of them. We get to put in Wasteland. And have 1 card left. Oh, okay. Well, now we just get to Green Suns anyway for Night of Autumn. And they can't force it. So this kind of worked out anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Night of Autumn. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting one. I mean, it's nice to win, but I think they could take at least 8 off the library, which pretty much gives them a fresh look as well. But yeah, just, I guess, lucky for them in the brainstorm, they only probably play 1 or 2 Emrakuls, but luckily they didn't have Emrakul. But some good matches so far. Yeah, fetches do give them a pretty good look as well. And the deck usually runs between 8 and 10 fetches. So yeah, an interesting one for hopefully the Twitter sphere to figure out. we have a match? Alright. Let's do this. Oh, Michael. This is a pretty sweet hand. I'm pretty happy to keep this, I think. He knows who I am. Classic. Misty. Please don't be a snow-covered land. Okay. Okay. Ah, the end boss. Okay. At least we have the oof, which is kind of nice. And I probably just want to keep the green suns for now. Interesting that I could kind of bait out a Swords to Plowshares with the green suns for Dryad Arbor. So I don't mind doing it for that reason. We have all the mana in the world, which is nice, so I don't really care about losing it. Oof. Please don't Swords in Wasteland. Bolt? Okay. Interesting. At least we can get basics off these two fetch lands. Okay. Haha, hey Wolf, thank you very much. This I'm pretty happy just to try to deal with right here and now. I could untap and play around Days, but I'm happy just to Sword Seer and then untap and play the U for the Thalia. And if they have Force, they have Force. Force, pitch, Force, okay. There's some reasoning not to go for the basic there, because if we draw into Abrupt Decay, we can't cast it. But we actually get lucky, so... I'm not going to cast anything into the Bolt. I'm going to try to get this Kaya online and take out the Bolt. Yeah, it would be good to come to see you come back and play some depths. Is a sweet deck. All right. Double Pond is pretty good. Probably fetch, unless they shuffled. Choose not to shuffle. Okay, just going deeper. Oh, really? Rough. Did not expect Stifle. definitely in the back foot here. The Dreadhorde just takes over the game so well, and a lot of our creatures don't line up. Thalia obviously pretty bad against a 1/3 and also a Bolt in the graveyard. Kaya may be okay next turn, but you know, we have to play around Stifle again, we have to play around Counter Magic, and even at sorcery speed, Kaya does nothing, so if they untap and like Ponder, then they can just flash back the Ponder. Yeah, it looks like PokeMoki pile. I actually haven't played against it yet, so obviously a rude awakening. There's no point not blocking here. Wasteland's good. Yeah. Gonna go for Scrubland. Oh, I should have gone for Bayou. I should have gone for Bayou. Doesn't really matter here, unfortunately. I guess at least the Scrubland, we don't really care if it gets wastelanded. I guess we do, but you know. At least the Knight's big. But unfortunately, Dreadhorde here is just going to take over the game. It doesn't really care about what we're doing. Hey Quiz, welcome. Hope you're well. Hiya. We have some game there, but opponent's just so far ahead that it's pretty hard to come back there. I do like the Thought Seizers. I do like the parts. Engineer, I don't mind taking out. Second Library, I don't mind taking out. Collect Oof, I don't mind taking out. Knight of Autumn's an interesting one. Probably can come out. I think this is fine. I don't really want the Chalice because of our 1-drops. I'm just going to see how this goes. And hopefully it's good enough. Definitely a tough battle. Really need that answer to, you know, the decay for the Arcanist. But, you know, we only run 2, so we do have to be mindful about that when we keep an opening hand. Definitely want, you know, mana acceleration is key. A removal spell is always nice. A pretty nice mana base. I do want to keep a hand just with a Noble Hierarch as like when I only green or white source. Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna go Savannah into Noble, because I probably want to keep the Bird's Paradise as my black source, so I'd rather get the Noble hit. I didn't keep a hand with a removal spell, but hopefully that's okay. Hopefully we don't get spell snared. Oh, nothing. Okay. All right, now I want to fade Blazing Volley because that card would be a blowout. Astrolabe. That's fine. Land? No. I can Green Suns for 2. I probably want to go for a Thoughtseize first. Interesting. I could also go with Wasteland and Night. I don't mind that. I think Wasteland puts them behind a fair amount. And getting the Night in play is really nice. I can't do both. Could also just play the Questing Beast, to be fair, and attack. There's some merit to that. I think this is a fine play, but this Thoughtseize I really want to get online. Okay, well luckily we just had the nice curve. On the draw it's going to be a little bit different, but we prevail. I think we just throw this back. Ramanap's interesting, but it's more so that I can stay in the game because of their wastelands. It's not like their mana base is too wastelandable. They do run a lot of basics alongside their wastelands, so I think this is fine. Playing the Knight as a 4/4 is just really nice as well. Probably just a mulligan here. 2 lands that don't really do a whole lot in this matchup. Thoughtseize is nice and all, but you know, if I lose this Windswept Heat to a Stifle, this hand is nothing. Yeah. Yeah. Probably just drop a Wasteland. It doesn't have removal, which is pretty big, but my opponent's on 6 as well. I'm going to bottom the second Wasteland. I do like the second Green Suns because it means we can use the first one for Dryad Arbor. Hey HG Bud, welcome. Hope you're well. Hope you're having a nice week. All right. Chose not to shuffle. That's always a little bit scary. So here's my turn 1. This is probably my turn 2, and then this is my turn 3. Path is a perfect draw. A second pond is actually quite nice here because it means that they're not playing a Dreadhorde this turn. But a removal spell on the Dryad Arbor would open up Daze on this Sylvan Library, but I'm not sure if they're playing Daze or not. Maybe they're not. Wow, that Sylvan Library coming down is huge. Because other than maybe like Return to Nature or Brazen Burrower, I can't think of another way that this deck deals with it. I'm not too sure if Pokepile, how many colors it is. Hey Loverboy, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what do you play in Legacy? PokeMoki, Pile, Legacy. Poke is Rug? Okay. Alright, so here we have... This looks to be something like it. Prismatic Vista, okay. Honestly, here, I think we're just paying for all of these. Maybe not the second Thoughtseize? That's an interesting one. I came from, I think it was Canlander vid you did. Ah, very cool, yeah. Nice. Very cool to get into Legacy. And Burn's a pretty awesome deck, especially for learning sequencing and learning the format. I don't think I want the second Thoughtseize here. I'm going to put this on top. I don't want to fetch though because of Stifle. So maybe I just want to like Green Suns for Birds of Paradise. I could get Hexdrinker. Hexdrinker is actually pretty interesting as well. Yeah. Hexdrinker is actually pretty cool. Yeah, this does seem like a pretty interesting matchup for Hexdrinker. They do have bolts, but I wonder if they'll keep the bolt to see if we actually tick up the Hexdrinker even further or not. That's a very cool play. There's a lot of cool stories you can get from playing Legacy, and winning on burn because your opponent forced themselves is hilarious. Oh, Bayou's perfect because it actually, this Thoughtseize just does so much. I wonder if they play Veil. Two Veil. Put on top, but I'll pay for this and go down to 12. Play the Bayou. Thoughtseize first. Ice Fang's okay. Oh. That's a hand. Hey Quiz, a huge thank you for the sub. That is very nice. Or should I say, Wes Wolf, a huge thank you for the gifted sub. That is very cool, a huge thank you. This is a really interesting one. So, the Oko deals with, I think it's the clots that I have to take. Yeah, I think because we have the decay for Oko, that's great, but I think here it's just, it's clots. That's gonna be a real deal. We know they have Submerge. I think I just pass here. The other land was, I believe, Misty. Yeah. I think we just pass here. I think we keep the Green Suns for now. We know about the Bayou on top as well, which is kind of nice. I probably expect something like Wasteland on Bayou and then play Oko. Dreadhoard's pretty good. But we do have the path for it, which is nice. So there goes the Wasteland. And at least we know about what's in hand. Do I think a point system would work in EDH? It definitely works in Highlander, which is nice. Pretty great format. Knight. Put on top, pay. Might as well pump into this. There's Misty and Oko. 2 cards in hand. We know one is Submerge. We're also at 6, which is kind of scary. I probably don't mind an attack with both. If they want to trade the Ice Fang, that's fine. Uro's pretty good. No land. Okay, that's pretty big. Ponder. I'm gonna fetch in response to the Ponder. Get a Savannah. Maybe I'll get a Bayou because I want another black source. And I'm just gonna cast this Script Ranger. Yeah, maybe forcing the Submerge was better. Maybe that was the play. Maybe that was just something I missed out on. See what they do with this. With this Ponder. Because we get to attack for 6. Sorry, for 4. They chose not to shuffle. Okay, and they have 3 cards in hand. Alright. Put on top, put on top. Attack for 4. 1, 2, 3. Green Suns for 2. Get Ooze. Eat Uro. Use Script Ranger to untap Knight, return the Bayou. Play the Bayou for turn. And then I might just... I'm gonna eat now. I could play around... Yeah. Could play around Bolt on that Misty, but I think forcing it is fine. Sylvan Library is going to be okay. Arcanist, and they still have 2 cards in hand. Oof. Put on top. Put on top. I guess I don't really care about the Dreadhorde because we have Ooze. So might as well see what they do first. I feel like if I eat with Ooze here, they're going to use Submerge. So I'm just going to allow this to hopefully go through. Swords on Dreadhorde. Decay on Library. Pass back. I could have actually untapped a creature to get another green activation, which is probably what I should have done. That's just a little misplay. What are Maverick's worst matchups? Go wide strategies are often very good. Rough. That's gonna be okay. Now what's this? A braid. Yeah, okay. Let's at least eat something. Maybe the Ice Fang, is it worth it? If only I used the Script Ranger here, I would have actually had the mana to keep it alive, which is really rough. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the matchups where... Put on top. Put on top. I'm gonna put this on top. No. We know they have Submerge. I guess if they have Submerge, we can then once define the knight and replay it, so I don't really need this. Well, maybe then I want a once here to find another creature. It's really anything that works, so... Rough. I can't grab the Cradler, unfortunately, because the knight is an elked creature. Oh, the Script Ranger is actually, the Script Ranger is lethal with Exalted because it has Pro Blue and can't be hit with Submerge, which is hilarious. So we get there, which is really nice. A few little decision points there that I could have done better. I think using the Script Ranger a little bit better is something that I should have been doing because there's no reason not to use it. But funny that off the once, I really wanted to find another creature that could actually win the game. And it was Noble, because Noble gives the Script Ranger the extra 1 attack, which plays through Submerge and also deals the 2, which is very cool. So we went 4-1 with this version, which is pretty sweet. I really enjoyed this list. I do like Achilles' version with the extra decay over his swords, because it can come up where it's more relevant to have the versatility of Abrupt Decay than the speed of Swords to Plowshares. Thoughtseize was pretty good at here as well, taking the spot of Deafening Silence, which is a little bit more, what do you call it? It's a little bit more combo orientated, whereas Thoughtseize can come in against some value matchups, which I really like. I have been actually working on a different Maverick list altogether, that is a green-white variant, because green-white has kind of just become unfavored because of the metagame isn't really full of decks that are hitting mana bases too hard. So you can run 3 and 4 colors without getting too mana screwed most of the time, which is really nice. Let's see if we can find this green-white list. I reckon this is it. Yeah, this is it. So this is a list that I was playing around with. It should probably be playing the full 4 Elvish Reclaimer. I just didn't have any. But it plays Field of the Dead, which is a pretty awesome card for the late game and pretty great against Snow. I should be playing an extra one in here. I think Thalia Heretic Cathar is really good in this deck, because against the Snow decks, it turns on Wasteland by being able to Wasteland fetch lands. It also makes Icevein Quaddle a hell of a lot worse. And it also just puts, Wasteland behind a turn if they're trying to go after some of your own lands, which is kind of cool. And I think the 3-power First Strike is quite nice against a bunch of Elks, if Thalia doesn't get Elked first, but she is legendary, so you can return her as an Elk and then replay her as Thalia. I like the main deck Gideon's because I found Green-White had a pretty hard time against Plague Engineer. So Gideon's just really nice and also quite good against those Snow decks, which is awesome. And then the board was pretty straightforward, just Deafening Silence for combo, Path for creatures, Oblivion Ring for Miscellaneous, Show and Tell, Leyline for graveyard, Force of Vigor for some of the fast Loam, Lands, Moon, Urza combo, which we play against a fair bit, Choke, obviously a pretty great card against some of the blue decks. But yeah, this is something that I was toying around with. I kind of wanted a exploration kind of play, but I was like, if I'm going to play exploration, I want to play it on a creature, and if I play a creature with exploration, I'm going to play Dryad of the Elysian Grove, and if I play Dryad of the Elysian Grove, why not playing Valakut? So there's definitely a snowball effect of how you want to build the deck, but I think a green-white mid-range deck with Knight of Reliquary and Knight of an Elvish Reclaimer and Field of the Dead is really nice. So in this list, I was actually playing Temple Garden over the third Savannah. I broke up my basics between snow-covered and non-snow-covered. I was playing a Ghost Quarter, Bojuka Bog main deck. I could play Thespian Stage with Dark Depths combo, but I didn't want to have too many colorless sources in the deck. I mean, in this version alone, looking at the opening hands, you know, we have 4 Wastelands, we have Cradle, Ghost Quarter, Feeler there, Bojuka Bog, Dried Arbor, which can't cast a turn 1 Mana Dork. So I think that was a bit of an issue with having those extra, you know, Blast Zone or the Dark Depths combo. But I think there is something here. I think there's something here in a version with the new 4-drop that gives cats. I can't think of it right now. I'm gonna quickly find it. It's part of the new set. MTG spoiler. Let's quickly find it. It's got cats on it. There it is. Felidar Retreat. So Felidar Retreat is a 4-mana enchantment with landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, choose one. Create a 2/2 white cat beast creature, or put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Those creatures gain vigilance until end of turn. So on this list, Felidar Guardian would take the place of the Gideons, which I think is pretty good. So the +1/+1 counter effect is really good, especially against Plague Engineer, because it fully stops, you know, the power of Plague Engineer. It also can't be attacked by other creatures like Gideon can. The landfall is really nice. So that means for every fetch land that you have, you're getting 4 power. For every Knight activation, you're getting at least 2 power. For every Elvish Reclaimer, every Elvish Reclaimer, you're getting nearly 2 power. So I think for this deck that I want to build, it's going to be a case of making sure that I can win the early game to then have this in the late game. So this deck needs the 4th Thalia. It needs Collector Oof. It probably needs the main deck Teeg if you're going to have some pretty good one. Some pretty good game against combo, because if you're wanting to play a deck like this that's quite long, you need to have a plan for the early game to make sure you're not just, you know, setting up and then just winning while you're setting up. I think the 2 big cards that can deal with this right now is just Teferi Bounce, which isn't the greatest, and Assassin's Trophy, which only sees, you know, some sideboard play. So I think Retreat has a place in Legacy. I don't think it's going to be super competitive, but I think there'll be some decks like Loam or Maverick that, you know, might adapt it into its 75, because it's obviously a very strong effect, and it kind of reminds me of Field, and you know, it's something that Snow definitely doesn't really have a great answer to. So I think Felidar Retreat is going to be pretty interesting to play around with, and I'd love to get a couple of versions over the weekend going to see how they go. Have I ever played Remembrance? I haven't played Remembrance. Let me quickly see if I can see it. 3 white. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you may search your library for a card with the same name as that creature, reveal it, and put it into your hand if you do shuffle your library. Ah, interesting. That's pretty cool. I guess the only issue is that most creatures that I have get exiled, but still very cool that you get to search your library for another creature with the same name. I guess that only really applies to Knight and Thalia and Noble Hierarch, because a lot of my creatures are actually one-offs. But interesting. Hey, Toolbox Hero, thanks for the sub. Resub, thank you very much. That's awesome. Let me know where you're from. How your week's going. Lotus Cobra is an interesting one. I think because it relies on other cards, it's not the greatest, and that could be a big condition of Felidar Retreat, that it's obviously not as good of a top deck as Gideon is, because Gideon just does stuff on its own. But I think it's got some play, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I can definitely see it in D&T as well, because you have so many copies of a lot of your creatures. A lot of your creatures are playsets. But unfortunately in Maverick, you do have that massive line of silver bullets where it's not going to trigger that enchantment. But that is me. So we finished up 4-1, which is pretty sweet, because we had some pretty cool matchups. So we played against, let's go through them. Blue-Green Omni, won that. PokeMoki Pile got there. Mono-Red Prison went down. Turbo Goblins got up. And we got up against Hogaak, which is very cool. Nice. If you guys want to find me on Twitter, you can find me here. If you want to find me on YouTube, you can find all my videos and recordings, which aren't put on stream. You can also find me at the Green Sun Zenith, of course. I currently have edits with Achilles 27's tournament report, which you'll be able to find on the Green Sun Zenith. Hopefully tomorrow night we'll get it out. But in the meantime, I'm going to see who else is playing. A huge thank you to the guys who have followed, to the subs, to the gifts. Thank you very much, Where's Wolf, another Legacy streamer. If you want to check out Where's Wolf, does play a lot of Arena as well, but I'm sure he'll come around to playing Green Black Depths again, which he's very good at. So definitely check that out. Let's find a Legacy streamer who is playing right now. I should be back on. I'll be back on Sunday morning. Yeah, I'll be back on Sunday morning. Flo True is actually playing, who's a really good Eldrazi player. So I'm going to send you guys over to Flo True, because that works. A huge thank you once again. My name is Dukes on Twitch. I'll see you guys next time. Enjoy your weeks. Enjoy Legacy. Thanks.